How does this movie get made? I mean, you met this guy, right? You didn't know who he was.
No, I mean, I met him, like I said, I met him at an awards thing when they did it. And then a month after we got our awards, they were accused of cheating. And the shit hit the fan because it was such an uplifting thing when the kids got it. When they did it the first time, the whole community, you can only imagine what the community went through. Here was 18 kids. They did it in under 2 years. They prepared themselves from basic math all the way through algebra, geometry, algebra 3-4, math analysis and trigonometry, and got to take this examination, and they all passed it. And the reason that they got called cheaters was because they didn't miss enough. Inner city kids, all of them Latino, would be able to, do this and have the highest scores in the country. USC, Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Columbia. Those kids had gotten into those schools from the first examination. And then when they turned around and they called them cheaters, and there was a question, all the schools pulled them.
The minute they pass the test again, what happens then?
Oh, well, they all got reinstated. Are you kidding? It was the biggest, it was truly one of the most extraordinary experiences.
Did you meet the kids, the real kids?
Oh, yeah, we talked.
I mean, by the time you made the movie in '88, so they'd finished college by then.
Yeah, they were, we did it in '88. And the producer, Tom Muska and Menendez, went off to write the script, and we got it back, and we started to try to sell it. We couldn't get it sold. Nobody wanted to do it. I remember walking into NBC, and the president of production there at NBC Television said, it's a wonderful story, Ed, but I mean, the day that we put, this picture on television, our opponent, ABC or CBS, is going to put on Rocky. What do you think they're going to watch? And I said, they're going to watch this one because it's a better story. And he kind of chuckled like you guys just did, and and I walked out without a deal. Finally, I got $450,000 from PBS, American Playhouse. They backed it, and then I went around collecting $10,000 from this person, $15,000 from this person, $30,000 from this person, and we raised. At the end, we raised $1.2 million, and went ahead and made the film. We finished the movie in 1987. And in 1987, he had 87 kids that went through his course and passed. Everybody that took his course passed. His final year of teaching, 252 kids in 1 year. Took that examination and passed. He says, if you'll take the if you'll take the class and you commit to me, I won't let you down. I'll get you through it. I'll make you understand it. But you have to have the desire, the ganas, to sit here when you don't understand it and stay here until you do.
There's a scene in the movie that is very intriguing to me, which is when they're all arguing with him over the results of one problem they're working on. And I don't know why. Is that part of the reason maybe they all had made the same mistake? Is that?
Well, that's what happened. Yeah, he knew what he did. They all missed the same question, and they all missed it the same way, like if they were cheating. But he taught them all the same way, and that was what threw a big twist on the whole thing. We were documenting his life for all of us to be able to use 100 years from today.
What was it like when you sat with him and saw the movie for the first time?
We went to the Academy Awards together. We sat right next to each other. If I had won, and I should have won, there's no doubt in my mind. There's a list that goes around. The top 10 performances that were nominated that should have won and didn't were number one.
Now, the other side of the power of this movie is what it does to teachers.
Oh, man. Can you imagine? I mean, how many of you use this movie? We've got one here, 2, 3. This inspires students like crazy. Especially if you come from a middle class or upper middle class neighborhood, and you're watching this, and all of a sudden you realize that these kids are all lower income valued areas, and then you see the scores going up, and you start to realize and say, holy shit, these kids are really qualified, and they're doing it. You show the movie, it inspires the children, and then you have to stand up and teach after watching this. You know, good luck. You know, can you imagine, especially if you're a calculus teacher, going to prepare your kids, you know? And, you know, you can get up and say all you want. Well, now you saw it, now come on, we can do it too. But it's more than that. He made every single kid feel special. Like I said, he made them believe that they could do it, no matter what, and they all did it. Have you ever been in a band room? Yeah. They have like tiers, you know, like 3 or 4 tiers, and, you know, it's a kind of wide open space. Well, he got that room and put chairs in it, you know, like it. And then he could have, you know, 60, 70 kids, 80 kids at one time, teaching them. It was crazy what he tried to do. You know, it felt like a university, it felt like a college. We should have free education in this country. You know, you shouldn't have to pay for college at all. You shouldn't have to pay for anything when it comes to education. There's no such thing as a Latino race, no such thing as a Caucasian race, or Asian race, or African race, an indigenous race. There's only one race, that's the human race, and you know it. The only time we ever unify ourselves is when there's a huge calamity, some catastrophe that is just tremendously difficult to take. Then we all come together, and culture is just put out the window, and we're all one. When I die, you know, people say, how do you want to be remembered? As the guy walked around for, you know, 70 years, 60 years saying, you know, there's only one race, the human race, period. That's it. That's my epitaph right there. And just head down there, and I'll be very happy with that. He had a lot of teachers cued in as to what they were doing. That's how come his classes grew. The students came better prepared. Everybody was looking forward to going into his classroom. The jealousy came from teachers. Where he lost was the teachers started to get very jealous of the amount of attention he was getting, and especially if they were AP Spanish, AP English, AP History teachers started to say, you know, he's not the only one that's doing work, guys. And so that took over. And then pretty soon he just had to get out of there. The things that I learned from him, I use to this day. And I think a lot of teachers today use a lot of stuff that they've learned from him. And if you want to be a teacher and you want to learn a little bit more about his technique and stuff, just pick up the Futures channel thing of teachers, you know, Jaime Escalante and the Futures program. And it's available. You can pick it up. It's a documentary. I think, I don't know, maybe 36 to 48 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's serious. It's really serious. They really documented him. And they should, too. I mean, he deserves it.
Allow me to ask another question. Mm-hmm. Selena. Can you talk about that movie?
That film, I've told people know about this, and I've spoke about it very clearly. It was the hardest film I've ever made in my life, bar none. It was about 15 months after her death when we started to film. The only person who showed up for the filming of that was the father, Abraham, my character. And after every single scene, you'd see him in the corner, on the side, he'd be in heaving sobs. I mean, just completely destroyed. The scenes of happy, playing the drums, and I fall off and I fall backwards, and the little kids and all that, it just ripped his heart out. The whole experience just ripped his heart out. And by the time we got to the shoot in the hospital, they didn't want the hospital scene in it. And we had to beg him and say, please just let us do this one. We'll only do it once. You know, please don't come into the hospital when we're shooting it. Let us just shoot it, you know, and he couldn't do it. He says, no, I want to be there. And so he walked in, and of course we had to shoot. We only took one take, 5 cameras, and we just took one take and just shot it. And it was very, very difficult. And it was the hardest movie we've ever made because of the fact that it was a movie that nobody wanted to make. We filled the stadium. The stadium was full. People came to help film that, and we put the word out, and all of her fans came.
One of the things about you that's kind of interesting is you started as a musician. Mm-hmm. And you had a band called Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
That was like a pretty big band on the Sunset Strip, right?
It was the biggest thing on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. I heard rock and roll, and I lost it. And I started singing rock and roll, and I can't sing. I couldn't sing then, I can't sing now. But, you know, I listened to Bob Dylan, he couldn't sing either, you know, and I said, I can do that too. You know, I heard James Brown, take me to the bridge. I can do that too, you know, and then dance around, I can do that too. So I started to do that. I started getting into music, and it was a great, great marriage of movement and music. And then in my first year in college, I had been performing 7 days a week, okay? I mean, 8 consecutive years with not missing one day of work, singing rock and roll, 7 days a week in nightclubs.
So like you haven't caused enough trouble, you end up in the most influential detective television series of all time.
Man,
Tell us about that.
that was a real kicker. I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was a television show called Miami Vice. I had no desire. I was humbly walking around with the ballad of Gregorio Cortez. You know, walking around from city to city showing it for free. And I get a phone call from Michael Mann. He says, Eddie, I'd like to know if you could help me. And he says, I want you to be in my program. I have a television program that's on right now, and I need somebody to come in and help me because I'm in a little bit of a jam, and I'd like you to come in and, you know. And he offered me an extraordinary amount of money, more money than I had ever earned in my lifetime. Matter of fact, the opening bid for me to come into work was more money than my father had earned in his entire lifetime of 45 years of working, put together. Just, 1 year doing Miami Vice. I said, look, I'd love to help you. And I didn't have any money then. I still don't have. You know, I'm best known for the work that I haven't done, for the work that I've done. So I ended up, you know, telling him no. I can't do it because I need 2 things, and 2 things that I know that television can't give me. It's not about ego. It's just that I need to go off and do the things I'm working on. I've been working on, it took me 18 years to make American Me. You know, it took me 5 years to make Walkout. It took, 37 years to make Caught. I've been working for now 25 years on the Roy Benavides story. I still haven't been able to make that story, you know, and so it takes, and you've got to be doing it, and you can't be off, you know, making these television shows and then think that you're going to have, you know, be able to do this, because immediately everybody just dismisses you. You're out. You're sold hook, line, and sinker for 5 to 7 years to ABC, NBC, or CBS, or whatever network hires you. You're theirs, and you're signed on the line. That's why they pay you the big bucks. They own you. And you can't do anything during that period of time. In the hiatus, you can do a movie if you're strong enough. You can do a movie in the 2-month period of the hiatus, if you're lucky. Somebody will wait for you and say, okay, he's on his hiatus, let's make a movie. It's not going to happen to me. But so I said, I can't do it. And Michael Mann said, okay, you know, I need you very badly, Eddie. I'd really like to work with you. I said, I wish I could, but I need a non-exclusive contract, which I know NBC can't give me, and I need creative control, and I know you can't give me that. You're creating the show, you're the creator, you guys are making it, and you guys know what you want, but I need, you know, it's the only way I can work. Hang up the phone. You know, my wife was crazed. She was so angry. She was just so fucking pissed off. I mean, you know, we had nothing. 10 minutes later, I get a phone call. Hello, it's Michael Mann. He doubles the price. Man, I said, you know what? And now it was getting easier for me. I said, I'm sorry, Mike, I wish I could help you. I didn't want to do something called Miami Vice. Trust me. It's not that I'm better than, you know, them. It's just that I knew that this was going to be an exploitive, manipulative, very gratuitous, romanticized piece of shit. I just knew it. I knew by the title. It's like, you know, Battlestar, the same shit. I said, Battlestar, get out, wait for me, are you kidding me? So I hung up the telephone. Ring, 10 minutes later. He raises the price again. Another 10,000.
What's your wife saying as all this money's coming in through the phone?
They're not even around. My kids, nobody's around me anymore. I'm just picking up the phone. And the third phone call, and I said, listen, Michael, what are you going to do? What are you doing right now? He says, well, I'm doing the show. And I said, what are you going to do next year? He says, well, I got this movie that I've been working on. I said, well, you're going to be doing the movie and the television show? He said, yeah, I'm going to be doing, it's called Manhunter. I said, oh, okay, well, you're going to do your Manhunter, and I'm going to be stuck on this television show, and I won't be able to get off and do the movies I have to make, and I can't do that, Mike. Hang up the phone, rings again, 5th time. He says, you got it. I said, what? He said, you got it. I said, what are you talking about? He says, you got a non-exclusive contract. Just give me 60 days advance notice when you want to leave so I can prepare everybody. And you can go off and do whatever you want to do. And you have creative control of your character.
And he kept the money as high as he left it.
I said, and I'll take the last quote. I'm there, and I said, how can I do this? So I ended up creating a character that never looked at him. For 10 episodes, they would talk to me like they'd be talking like this, and I'd be like this. And they would get done talking, and I'd say, all right, do what you have to. And remember, I had creative control of my character, so I would write my words out. I'd take myself out of scenes. They'd have the 3 of us going to investigate something. I said, the lieutenant would never go to investigate that. He would come in after the fact and go, what happened? Like real lieutenants do. They don't, they send the detectives out, and the detectives do what they're going to do, and then the lieutenant finally hears what they did, and he says, okay, well, book them. Got into a huge fight with Don Johnson. We're rehearsing the scene, and the scene was he comes into my office, and he says, this is how, this is the report on on this murder. And I said, okay, we're rehearsing. I said, shut the door. And he comes in, and he opens the door, and then he starts the scene. So we were rehearsing, we got it down, okay. And all of a sudden, I said, okay, now shut the door. And he says, Eddie, this is an OCB. We're all, there's no doors. I don't want to deal with the doors. I said, Don, this is my office. Shut the door. And he said, don't open these can of worms with me, Eddie. So I tell him, shut the door. No, I'm not going to shut the door. Shut the door. Okay, we'll see. And he takes off. He leaves the set. 1 hour goes through. 2 hours go through. The whole set is sitting around going, holy shit. Call NBC. What's going on? What's happening? This is crazy. What happened? Well, we have a little. In walks John Nicolella. John says, hey, Eddie, what's going on? I said, nothing, man. I just want the door shut. It's a big deal, man. I just want him to walk in, open my door, and walk in, not just walk into my room. I'm by myself right now, and this is my office, and I want my door to shut. That's it. That's all. He goes off. So, okay, we're all ready. Okay, he's on set. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, here we go. I'm sitting in my office. All of a sudden, action. Boom! The door swings open, comes crashing against the side of the wall. The Venetian blinds go crack, crack, crack. He comes in, he goes, here's the report. And boom, he throws it on my desk. And I said, okay, all right. I don't see nothing. All right, I'll study it. I'm mumbling. I'll study it. He walks out. Cut! So that's pretty good for me. How did it work for you? I'm fine. Good. Okay. Now, next scene. After that, I never looked at him once. For 10 episodes, almost a year, man. Never looked at the guy.
You are driving this epic through like a freight train.
And Mary McDonnell is the president.
Tremendous.
She was really a tremendous president. And women are placed in such an equal and superior place to men.
That's right.
In this television program. The gender issue is thrown right out the window, man. Mm-hmm. We take baths together. We use the same toilets. Yeah. There's no male and female. There's none of that. It's really, really a different world. And it's very honest. People just were shocked. We talked a lot, the writers and us. We were constantly talking. This is what happened, which is really unusual. the writers write the scripts. Then we get them in production after working with them, and we make them come alive. And the piece goes from here, and it gets elevated when it becomes alive. The words then take life, and it really becomes even more intense and critical. And then we hand it over to post-production. And post-production came in with music. Bear McCreary's music is to die for. What a brilliant, brilliant artist. Brilliant artist. And so we started off with great scripts, and we're elevated to a higher level in production. And then we handed it to post, and the special effects and the music and the sound and everything just elevated. The editing, oh my God, the editing was fantastic. Took it to even a higher level. When we would see it, when we'd finished it and we see it, we'd go, wow, this is incredible. And then we'd show it. And you got to remember, this is 2003, okay? 2003, what's happening? Blogging started at the exact time when we started showing this program. That was, as soon as we showed the program on anywhere on the planet, as soon as it was streamed, it was on the air. It was on the internet. Wow. Boom, it would capture it, boom, and it was out, and so you could see it. So all of a sudden, the whole planet started talking to each other. And the writers started to look at the blogs and started to talk on the blogs. Ron Moore, all of them, all the writers were talking on the blogging. The people took it even to a higher level. And then the writers who were blogging with them started at that level to write the next episodes. So all of a sudden it went from writing, production, post-production, exhibition to boom, the whole world commenting and and of course the writers are going, oh yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Oh yes, oh you got it, you really got it. You're so smart. It was incredible. It was this phenomenon that happened of the whole planet interrelating. I still haven't gotten to the day that I feel like I know what I'm doing and it's going to work. I don't know if I'll ever work again. This is there's no security in our job. This is like, I mean, my kids are in it now, and I just look at them and I shake my head and I say, what can I set the example, so who's to blame here? At 64, I know I look good, but I'm 64. At 64, I'm starting now to feel that I can create some interesting situations, because you always get nervous. You get butterflies, you get scared. You don't know if you'll ever work again. It's not a real healthy psychological job. It's the best time for you filmmakers that are in the audience. It's the best time to make movies now. Now, I mean, it's hard. It's the hardest time in the world to make a movie, but it's the best time to make a movie. If you can make a good film right now, man, you'll be blessed, because there's not enough product out there anymore.
All I can say is it's been tremendous. For me, for all of us, it's been an honor, and so say we all.
So say we all.
Thank you very much.
Bless your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you very much so much.